Hey guys, in case you were somehow living under a rock, as a result of a bunch of FTC stuff I'm not going to get into, a huge amount of leaks came out for ZeniMax and obviously Bethesda by proxy. And two of those have me very interested in them. So, obviously, as a dude, most people know as like the Fallout dweeb, this was essentially a Fallout dedicated channel for a while around Fallout 4. I wanted to talk about Fallout 3 remaster mainly. But also I do want to talk about the Oblivion remaster, but yeah, in case you didn't hear, so sort of the schedule for releases came out for Bethesda products going forward, and let me read you all of them, and then I'll discuss just a couple that I find interesting. So the dates are wrong, but this should still be the order in which they will be releasing, in theory. So they had in 2022 Oblivion remaster and the Indiana Jones game, which we already know about the Indiana Jones game. In 2023, they had another Doom game and DLC, and in 2024, they have Elder Scrolls 6, some sort of licensed IP game, Fallout 3 remaster, a Ghostwire Tokyo sequel, Dishonored 3, and then some DLC for the new Doom. So I think the biggest things here are Oblivion remaster, which is apparently right around the corner. I mean, this was scheduled for 2022, and obviously a lot of delays happened, but this should be within the next year or something. We should at least be getting a trailer or something. Oblivion, I love it. I grew up as a kid playing it, and it's not even just a nostalgia thing. I actually went back a little while ago and played it, no mods or anything, and I still think it's really, really good. I think Oblivion is better than Skyrim. Personally, I really like the storyline of like piecing together the assassination and like going through the Oblivion gates and fighting the Daedric. I found all of that like very interesting. And sure, now when you play it, you certainly see the reused assets and the reused dungeon design and stuff like that. But I still think Oblivion is a banger. And a remaster is kind of funny because for years now I've been following, and a lot of people have been following, the Sky Oblivion mod, which was essentially a huge undertaking by a modding team where they were going to take take Oblivion and mod all of Oblivion into Skyrim. And it was looking to be one of, if not the largest mods for Skyrim. And that's actually getting pretty close to releasing, I believe. The trailers that they've shown recently are looking phenomenal. So I find it kind of funny, as we're getting close to the release of this mod that is essentially an Oblivion remaster, that now an official Oblivion remaster is apparently right around the fucking corner. That is just so incredibly funny to me. It's like Bethesda finally realized, oh, maybe we should do something with our older games that people really like, because there's clearly money to be made. And of course, the question is going to become, are they remaking Oblivion in the Starfield engine? Because the Starfield engine, I'm going to have the Starfield review out hopefully soon. It's a big game. I think I have like 55, 56 hours into it or something right now. I want to make sure I've played enough before I go ahead and try and make a review for you guys, because it is, like I said, a giant ass game. But Starfield looks good. Like on all maxed out settings, I was actually very surprised when I first played it. You can check my first stream I ever did of it. I was like, wow, this game actually looks a lot better than I thought. Like the graphics are pretty good, and the lighting is actually surprisingly good. So to see Oblivion in that engine, I think would be really, really interesting. The question also that arises though is, are they going to change shit? And this is where I get a little scared, because same with Fallout 3, I get a little scared because with Oblivion, I think it's probably pretty safe. I don't think they're going to change much with Oblivion because, let's be honest, the only stuff I could see them changing is the stuff that they improved on in Skyrim, right? Like spell casting. I think spell casting is obviously going to get a complete overhaul in the Oblivion remaster because spell casting sucks in Oblivion. You know, you press one button and you just cast your spell, and that's it. And while the crafting and creating your own spells is my favorite thing about Oblivion, I love it. I love the depth to it. I think it's really interesting. And I was really sad it wasn't in Skyrim. I do think other than that, spellcasting sucks. So I can totally see stuff like that being redone. Maybe adding in some romances or something like that because they know the people go crazy for that. But I think Oblivion is pretty safe for getting touched. Now, once we get into what was supposed to come in 2024, which is realistically probably going to be 2025 or 2026 now, which is the Fallout 3 remaster. This one is completely in the fucking air, man. Like, there is so much that they could do to fuck this up. it's not even crazy. Like, it is crazy. It's not even funny, is what I should have said. Like, they could fuck this Fallout 3 remaster in so many various ways. Let me give you some examples, okay? Example 1. They let their pride get in the way, and they do not incorporate any of the wonderful improvements from New Vegas into the Fallout 3 remaster. I think this is super likely and probably going to be the biggest L for Fallout 3 Remaster. I'm not going to get into the whole Metacritic drama and stuff between Obsidian and Bethesda and Fallout New Vegas and why they're so butthurt about that. I'm not going to get into it here. I've talked about it before. You can do some independent research if you're interested. It's quite an interesting story. But we all know it's a sore spot for Bethesda. New Vegas is a sore spot for good old Todd Howard. And as a result, I honestly feel like their pride is going to get in the way of just making a lot of the changes that New Vegas made. Like, if they actually try to look me in the fucking eyeball and they try to keep the god-awful Fallout 3 speech system instead of going with the Fallout New Vegas speech system, I will lose my fucking mind. I mean, that will be truly one of the biggest bag drops in history. The Fallout 3 speech system is ass. It's terrible. It's basically like the Fallout 4 one. It's actually exactly the same as the Fallout 4 speech system. And guess what? The Fallout 4 speech system is ass. Okay? For those of you that don't know, Fallout 3, you would have your speech skill, but it would still be a percentage chance. So it would be like, yeah, you have a 40% chance to convince this person. Okay, well, that's retarded. Because in New Vegas, they figured, oh, you know what's a much better system? If we just say you need 40 speech in order to pass this speech check. And if you have 40 speech, you'll pass it. That is such a superior system because there's no guesswork. You don't feel like you have to save scum. And there's a reason to invest into the skill, right? In Fallout 4 and Fallout 3, that is not a thing. It is just a percentage chance. So, you know what you do? You save before the dialogue, and you put 0 points into speech. And you go through the dialogue, and you fail, and you fail, and you fail, and you fail, and you fail. All of the speech checks, and you just keep save scumming. You keep reloading your save and doing it over and over until you pass. And there's no reason to go into speech because eventually you will pass regardless. And all it takes is, potentially a couple minutes and you'll pass it. So, yeah, I mean, you could argue that you're putting the points in and you're saving a little bit of time, but let's be real, especially in something like Fallout 3 where there's a level cap and you have a certain number of stats to allocate, you're not going to waste it on speech when you can just save scum and pass every single speech check in the game eventually, right? And it's even worse because even if you have 100 speech, that does not give you a 100% chance to persuade. Like, on some of them, if you have 100 speech in Fallout 3, you'll have like an 88% chance you'll still have a 12% chance to get fucked. That is it's just such a bad system. Like, they have to change that in the remaster. But unfortunately, they kept that shitty system in Fallout 4 because they're idiots and they're incapable of admitting the fact that their system sucks fat nutsack. And maybe we should just do what New Vegas did, right? I mean, it's crazy, dude. It's absolutely crazy. And that's just one way that they could fuck this Fallout 3 remake. Like, if they decide to not take the reloading bench aspects that New Vegas added, that'll be a huge layer of depth gone from the game. I mean, the various ammo types and a real reason to raise your repair skill was great. You know, in Fallout 3, you don't really have to take repair at all. I mean, you probably do by the end just because you get enough points, but repair kind of sucks ass in Fallout 3 because you have to sacrifice a weapon, which you could be selling for money, to repair your weapon. And unless you're completely raising your repair skill, you can barely upgrade your weapon anyway. Like, you have to fully put points into repair in order to upgrade past a certain limit. It'll be like, oh, you can't upgrade this weapon. You can't repair it past 60% unless you have like a 70 in repair or something. And that system just sucks ass because you can just go to a vendor that has a high repair skill and they'll do it for you. Whereas repair actually has a lot of benefits in New Vegas because you can get stuff like jury rigging, which allows you to use other weapons or like similar-ish weapons in order to repair your weapon. And most importantly, repair unlocks separate ammo types that you can then create. And those ammo types are really necessary for like late game activities because they'll do stuff like penetrating, high levels of armor, which high level enemies are going to have a ton of, right? So like that's another thing that I feel like they're not going to take from New Vegas. And as a result, Fallout 3 Remaster is just going to be what it is. But at the same time, I do think there's some stuff they can take from Fallout 4, for example, to make the game better. And I know that sounds crazy coming from me because I'm not a big fan of Fallout 4 personally. I mean, you can watch my review from however many years ago. It was my first ever review that I did. Still public on the channel, but yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Fallout 4. To be honest, I think it's basically like Starfield, a good open world action game, a bad RPG, and in Fallout 4's case, a bad Fallout game. But I do think the crafting mechanic is pretty damn good. I think having an actual reason to pick up a lot of the miscellaneous horseshit in the world in order to improve your armor or improve, your weapons is actually a W change. I think it was a really smart decision on their part. And I would love to see that in Fallout 3. I think it would work perfectly in Fallout 3. Fallout 3 has all sorts of useless horseshit. It's really only useful for putting it in the junket or whatever it's called, the junk cannon, and firing teddy bears at dudes and stuff like that. So I would love to see that stuff. But yeah, I think Oblivion Remaster is probably safe. I think that's going to be a banger. Now, whether or not it'll be better than Sky Oblivion, that's kind of up in the air for sure. And what's it going to be priced at? Are they charging $70 for these remasters? Probably. Like, let's all be real. They're probably going to be $70. I mean, of course, there'll be Game Pass day one, which is a W, but especially with a lot of these Bethesda games, you usually want to own them because you'll probably want to play them down the line and install a bajillion mods. And from what I've seen from people with Starfield, modding Starfield, if you have the Game Pass version, can actually be quite difficult. So I'd imagine you want to own them, and they're probably going to be $70, which is a lot of people are going to bicker about and they're going to complain about, but they're going to buy it anyway, because that's how it goes. Oh my God, I can't believe that this is $70. This is ridiculous. I paid $60 back in the day. And then you see them online playing the game day one, It's how the gaming community and the whole industry works. People complain a lot and then they buy it anyway. So, of course, they're not going to change anything. But yeah, I think Oblivion Remaster is probably fine. Fallout 3 Remaster, man, I just hope that they can swallow their fucking pride and take a lot of the great mechanics that New Vegas added, um, because it will just make the game better. Like, it's as simple as that. All I want, I'm not like some dude that is like, yeah, I'm Team Obsidian. Obsidian's always better than Bethesda. Like, that's idiotic. I'm not picking sides with multi-million-dollar corporations, okay, or billion-dollar corporations in some cases. I don't care about that. I just want the best product possible. I'm a consumer. I just want the best possible thing to consume. And I think that if you're remastering a game like Fallout 3, you absolutely should be taking stuff that's going to make the game better as long as it fits. And we're sort of in this remaster renaissance right now, with all the Resident Evil games getting remastered, with Dead Space getting remastered, and I think all of those games do a perfect job of changing some stuff, but usually only changing things that make it better, right? And that's the case with Resident Evil 4. That's especially the case with Dead Space. For me, Dead Space is probably still my game of the year for this year, and it's because they were so unbelievably faithful to the original product, but with changing shit that only made the original product better. I mean, I don't know how you do any better than that. Like, that's what you should do with a remaster when it's been this long, right? So I am hopeful, because while I don't have any hope in something like Elder Scrolls 6 or Fallout 5, I don't really have much hope that Bethesda is going to go back to making in-depth and advanced mechanical RPGs anymore. I've kind of just accepted that. That's why I'm still playing Starfield and having a good enough time, because I've accepted that, like, listen, they're making these games for TikTok kids, you know? Like, just straight up, that's what they're doing. They're making it for the new generation. They're making them for TikTok kids. They are removing a lot of the obtuse and more advanced mechanics, and they're simplifying everything. They're getting rid of as many statistics as possible, and as a result, it's becoming much more of like a homogenized goop, whatever. I've kind of just accepted that. Like, these games, their games coming out now are just going to most likely be large worlds with a lot of detail in them, but just kind of action games. Like the storytelling is never going to be what it used to be. The characters are not going to be what they used to be. The actual build variety and specialization is never going to be what it used to be. And that's, I don't want to say it's fine, because obviously I wish for something more, but I've accepted it. I'm at peace. I've accepted it. I understand. I am not the target demographic anymore for Bethesda games. But man, I can hope and I can pray that them remastering a game I played as a kid that is literally made for me. It was made for Oblivion, and Fallout 3 were made for me when I was growing up, and they're still great to this day. I really hope that they don't try and make these for the TikTok generation, and instead they make it and they improve upon it, but they keep the bones and the roots of what made them great back in the day. But yeah, anyway, that's gonna do it for me. I just wanted to rant a little bit about the leaks. Of course, yes, very cool that there's a Dishonored 3. I'm excited for that. I love Dishonored, and also excited for new Doom, because Doom is always great. But those aren't really made by Bethesda. They're published by Bethesda. That's why they're good. Ghostwire Tokyo is surprising to me. I thought that game was shit, I'll be honest. Well, I don't think I said it was shit. I don't know. You'd have to check my review, but I think I said the game was like a 6 or something like that, like a 5.5 or like a 6.5 or something. I thought it was like okay. Not the best game I've ever played, and certainly not worthy of a sequel amongst all of their other catalogs of games. But, you know, what the fuck do I know? Apparently people bought it or something. But anyway, thanks for stopping by. Have a good one. See all of you in the next video. It's from Shamarini. Bye-bye.